Secure your safety belts, people, since we're going to plunge profound into a universe of VIP outrage, obscure arrangements, and million-dollar tricks. Envision one section Steve Harvey, one section Radio Co. have Shirley Strawberry, and a huge stunning trick presently duplicate that by $1 million bucks, that is, and lock in for the wild ride $1 million extortion plot. And a ton of casualties. This all occurred through a supposed development and training business, some portion of it run via virtual entertainment greetings. Everybody, I'm Leah. And today we discuss the succulent, tangled snare of misdirection, including, in all honesty, Steve Harvey's co. have Shirley Strawberry, and her significant other's $1 million conspire. Definitely you heard that right, I have layers of secret here. Incorporating a spouse with different warrants from one coast to another, a secretive love home in the UAE, and Steve Harvey's home tossed in with the general mishmash. And I'm simply starting to expose what's underneath with respect to a critical time frame, and are capable enough that they can make individuals agreeable and act contrary to what they would usually prefer. He or conversation. Is the well-known Steve Harvey's morning show an essential figure in the show's prosperity? Is, as a matter of fact, Shirley Strawberry, who possesses the job of co. have the show benefits from her dynamic presence. And she's especially renowned for her fragment, the Strawberry Letter, in this section. She collaborates with Steve Harvey, and together they tackle the hoard difficulties and problems of current connections, giving exhortation to their audience members. Shirley Strawberry's fruitful profession in TV traverses almost 40 years with her foundations. Following back to Chicago, her rising up out of this city is no peculiarity. As a matter of fact, it's been a bounce to broadcasting ability, with numerous eminent figures being chosen for public partnership during her time preceding her coordinated effort with Steve Harvey. Shirley Beauty, the morning show of the late-name banks. Likewise in Chicago, a groundbreaking second in Shirley's vacation came when she encountered Steve Harvey in Los Angeles. Harvey, then facilitating his morning show in nearby station, saw the potential in Strawberry. He said she was a radio legend before she met me in Los Angeles. Perceiving her ability, he welcomed her to join his show around the year 2000, an organization that became official when his show acquired partnership in 2005. In the wake of going through a separation, Shirley stayed single for a long while zeroing in on her profession and staying quiet about her own life. It was only after she turned 42 that she became a mother, inviting her sole youngster, a girl, subsequent to partaking in a productive vocation in TV and spending a huge piece of her life single. Shirley chose to hold nothing back from affection. Again, this choice drove her to Ernesto Williams, a refined man from Augusta, Georgia, who had moved to Atlanta in 1994. A shared companion acquainted Shirley with Ernesto by taking her to his attendant service in Atlanta. Shirley rushed to portray Ernesto as a alleged and sweet, noble man who exhibited only generosity towards her. We should move our concentration to the special connection between Steve Harvey and Shirley Strawberry. It's something beyond proficient. Steve sees himself as Shirley's senior sibling, even an uncle figure, generally prepared with sound guidance for her connections. When it came to Shirley's relationship with Ernesto, Steve was in full help. This help wasn't simply verbal. He was there in person, strolling Shirley down the path at her wedding visit Ernesto in January 2015, which unexpectedly served as Ernesto's 50th birthday festivity. Applause. Bye for those of you simply listening. A man is strolling in the room, considering her past significant encounters. Shirley stays mindful of the blunders of her ways during her most not entirely set in stone to not recurrent history. She put her focus on being a superior spouse this time around. And it's not meaningless remarks she's residing it. She once said, "I'm attempting to be a shockingly better wife to my second husband, with the examples I've gained from the slip-ups that I caused." We should to dive into Ernesto's experience a bit. He's been depicted by Steve Harvey's crowd as an effective business person, yet there are implications about a few pessimistic parts of his personality that haven't been highlighted on the show. The account proposes that Ernesto could have a not great history incorporating potential paternity issues, with various kids a crook record in contribution in questionable strategic policies. Ernesto ends up by wrestling for certain serious allegations. This while Shirley has known about Ernesto's past and keeps on. Remaining by him in the midst of his continuous fights in court. Ernesto, as depicted on the Steve Harvey Show, is viewed as a fruitful money manager running very good quality ventures in Atlanta. He's the pleased proprietor of an upscale boutique, taking care of a prosperous customers alongside a security organization. So the narrative of Ernesto, a man who calls himself a triple OG, is the focal point of consideration. His lawbreaker record traverses 40 years, a period of time that strikingly concurs with Miss Strawberry's radio profession. His inclusion in unlawful exercises traces all the way back to the 80s, a set of experiences interspersed with various court appearances and spells. In a correctional facility, prominently Ernesto was seen as at fault for furnished burglary in both Cobb Region and Douglas District, Georgia, with a last conviction bringing about a 10-year state jail sentence. The shadows of Ernesto's past weren't bound to burglaries. He additionally had a government bank misrepresentation case to his name. He'd spent time in jail for this before he at any point encountered Shirley Strawberry. The story presently turns to draw a few associations among Shirley and Ernesto, alluding to the potential for him to be engaged with additional serious violations. We should dig further into Ernesto's flow situation. The mess is requesting a bail measure of $200,000 for each count, amounting to a jumping $800,000. Judge monitoring concurred with this figure and added an additional $5,000 for each count. A piece of Ernesto's bail conditions included giving his visa over to his lawyer. Curiously, Ernesto had referenced remaining at Steve Harvey's home in Abu Dhabi. During a call from prison with Shirley, there were likewise kept visits among Ernesto and a sweetheart in Florida. Believed this individual to be a flight hazard. We have prison calls where he's looking at going to see his sweetheart in Florida. Ernesto was hit with a controlling request that disallowed him from connecting with Shirley Strawberry, her 26-year-old little girl, and her granddaughter in the midst of this large number of disclosures. It's very stunning how Miss Strawberry, thinking of her as close connections to Steve Harvey, figured out how to stay quiet about all that. One of the fans composed its outright franticness. And I'm surprised how Miss Strawberry, with her associations with Steve Harvey, figured out how to stay quiet about all of this. And the interest proceeds with Ernesto, with one more lady were captured in October 2022 for a trick that cheated people of more than $1 million to 57-year-old Ernest Williams and 46-year-old Erica Ruler, purportedly guaranteed a superior life for a purpose. They took on the appearance of fruitful business people, promising their casualties mentorship and business help anyway. Once the cash traded hands, these administrations never emerged. We should investigate this hurricane case, including 2 people who were arrested on numerous counts of extortion. Their racket, looking over 12 people out of a cool $1 million, basically positioned themselves as specialists in the fields of business development, improvement, training, things of that nature. Who are the offenders? Ernesto Williams and Erica Lord. As per the fluff, these 2 had a really sly activity going on. They persuaded people to leave behind their well-deserved dough, promising they could assist them with arriving at their business or individual objectives. Yet the examiners rushed to hail this as a joke to demand increasingly more installment, promising that those administrations and products would be subsequently given, yet never following through with those issues. These supposed specialists would cheat their casualties out of cash for administrations they never conveyed. And we're not talking sucker change. Their jokes brought about monetary misfortunes and property harm surpassing $1 million. Yet how did the police hear about their trickeries? Everything began a couple of months back when they avoided paying rent for a house on Pinewood Street. That is when criminal investigators began looking around their monetary dealings and uncovered this entire tangled conspire It's Claire Williams and Ruler had a talent for flattering individuals into disregarding their hunches, yet their complimentary lift finished when they ended up in the slammer having to deal with penalties of extortion, foreign robbery. The Roswell police currently encourage people to stay with notable genuine organizations while attempting to develop their organizations or foster their brands. That is the best guard against succumbing to misrepresentation. Their skin activity had casualties dispersed out of control from Roswell to Atlanta. And even past state lines, police figure there are possible more casualties. On the way forward, casualties, assuming you have had any dealings with Lord or Williams, call police right. So we're discussing a fella here with a rap sheet longer than your arm, with warrants out for his in Henry Province, Georgia, Los Angeles region, California, and Orange Province, California. That is an incredible geological spread, huh? And it doesn't stop there, obviously. This man has a darling in Florida. And get this, there's prattle about him holding up in the unified Middle Easterner Emirates, no less at Steve Harvey's digs. Currently, here's where things get dinky. Word on the road is that somebody with some clout has been settling on decisions to keep this secretive since last year. And a few people are feeling frustrated about Shirley, thinking she was left in obscurity about her hubby's obscure dealings, yet hang on dislike. She was hustled into wedding the person he asked about getting married under a year into their relationship. Adding to the section is the